In sales, it's so easy to sell your features and benefits. Kevin O'Keefe, business coach, shares with us the key to success and how that is not the right strategy. And he also shares with us the 5 ways to measure the right numbers in your business for exponential growth. Why business coaching for you?
Well, for me, just rolling it back a bit, I qualified as a chartered accountant back in the day. But it was an idea my father had, and I didn't have any idea, so he did it. And once I qualified, I went straight into sales, so selling. I was working with various banks in Ireland and abroad, but basically selling bank products, so advice, anything we could sell really for a fee, and was doing that around the world. I was a single father of 3 kids when they were sort of 3, 5, and 7. Nothing dramatic. She just had better things to do. And so I was working with my parents, but I was, I would say working in the Middle East in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and set up their corporate advisory project finance unit with another Scottish chartered accountant. Blank sheet of paper. They had no laws, no anything. So working with the locals, but also working with American, Far Eastern European. How do we set up? What do we do? All the time selling, doing that. Then the parents needed to be closer to home because they were minding the kids. I had them in Saudi Arabia, but then the first Gulf War came along, so I had to send them back, and there was no way they were coming back to me. So I stayed and sent them back. But anyway, so I got as far as London, working with people like Barclays Capital, Schroders. My patch was North Africa, the Gulf, up as far as Iran, which are interesting countries in their own right. But again, doing the same thing, working with a lot of British, obviously, but then American, Far Eastern. How do we set up? What do we do? Working with the locals, selling advice primarily, but also putting together teams and selling whatever it was, swaps, loans. Then the kids got to that interesting teenage stage, and parents said, "That's it, we're done. Get back here." And so, fair enough.
That's when the real fun begins, though, right?
Oh yeah, treasured moments, so I came back to Ireland. I had bought a house, had a good enough size house. I set up an office in it, and sort of looked around, and I found ActionCOACH basically. So what I liked about it was I could work from home, finish raising these kids, and also I had a global reach, which I was kind of like from my background. So that was 20 years ago. So now I'm in action just over 20 years in June. And was working across the board with wholesale, retail, manufacturing, trades and professions. But I've as we were talking about earlier, kind of more focused into my sweet spot is larger SMEs with a sales force. So, 10, 20 employees up to maybe 150. That I can work with and get the results that I'm getting quite good results with those, and I enjoy that.
So talk to me about sales. So what do you help businesses who have a sales force? What area, what are you doing with them? How are you helping them?
Sales forces, typically salespeople, they like to sell to people they know and like, and with the products they're comfortable with. So, the old question is, do all of your clients know all of the products and services you could supply? Virtually to a man, the answer is no. Okay. So typically I'll start with a sales force, understand, what the results are getting. Each salesperson is getting different results, but we sell to the gaps. Gap analysis is the basic one that we start with. So very simple, put the clients down one side and the products, groups of them if needs be, because usually they have thousands of products. And we put in the intersection between the name and the products, the amount they've sold in the last, 6 months, 12 months, and gaps appear. So then we can work with the sales force and say, well, tell me about this product service. Why are we not selling that to ABC company? Because they should be buying that. And then we can go through the training and be specific. You're going to sell X, Y, and Z product, but we need you to focus on these 2 or 3. So that alone will start expanding the number of sales, and also it identifies training requirements, anything like that. So on this, getting the salespeople to understand that, but also I think just rolling back to get them to understand what they're selling. And again, the hint, as we know in ActionCOACH, is it's not the product or service. Once they understand that, once they understand what it is, why they're, because again, salespeople tend to focus on the price a bit, which is a bit single dimensional. So once they understand what they're selling and what people are looking for, and I can expand on that with a story a bit later on, then it becomes a lot easier to get the kind of margins that we need for the expansion and the growth going forward. So that would be a lot of the focus when I'm working with salespeople.
So, Kevin, I want to come back to what you shared about, we don't sell our product or service. We're selling the solution that we provide, really, for the customer.
We're selling. It's a deceptively difficult question when I ask a business owner, particularly third generation business owner. I say, "What are you selling?" And they say, they'll all say their product and service. And my answer to that is, and I got that wrong as well when I was asked first. So that kind of puts them off balance, because who's this coach coming in to tell me how to run my business? I'm third generation. We've been going for 60 years. What can he possibly tell me about my business? So if the first question is he doesn't know what he's selling, straight away you're kind of going, he's off balance. I used to, as a kid, I used to do judo and jiu-jitsu and stuff, and the concept of that is, if you can get them off balance, you can throw them anywhere you want. So the minute they're off balance, then you can lead them and direct them in any particular way. And so it's a deceptively difficult question to answer. And the thing is, we're selling different things to different people, depending on what it is they want. Okay, so I will go to the business, and I'll tell them, I don't know what you're selling until I do the research. And then I would talk to his best clients. What are they buying? What do they say about him? What's important to him about that? I'll look at the testimonials. But the testimonials rarely say your products are fantastic. It's about the emotional stuff. It's about, well, I can rely on you. I can phone and forget. I can whatever. I had one client who was a logistics truck company, and his nickname was Mr. Grumpy, because he was that. People never liked him, but they bought from him because his job, what he said is, I'm a phone and forget. So if we want to move a product from A to B, I will pick it up on time, I will deliver it on time, intact. And I was in his office talking about this, and he had 2 articulated trucks outside the door, just sitting there parked all day. And I'm saying, what's that about? He says, well, trucks break down, they get stuck in traffic. If that happens, I jump in the truck and I keep organizing things from the hands-free in the truck, and I deliver. So people would phone him and do it. So he was selling phone and forget. So if I'm working and I need to move stuff, and during all the recession, when all the logistics companies and truckers were complaining about prices and diesel and he was charging what he wanted, because he knew what he was selling. Okay, they all had trucks, they all had the same customers, but the customers with him, and he felt he didn't have to be nice about it. So he was an entertaining client for a while. Yeah. So, so the point is, any business, like, we're not selling coaching. Nobody buys coaching. They don't wake up in the morning and say, I want a couple of pounds of coaching. And we need to find out when we're talking to them. And typically, as I said to you, they buy money. They thank me for the systems and the people to run those systems. But at the start, they buy money. That's our 5 ways. So we're selling money. When my BNI group, they ask me, what do you do? I said, I sell money. I help business owners make more money.
Hats off to you for committing to your learning by listening to this podcast. And if you'd like some help implementing some of these strategies, then click the link in the description to find your local action coach. They can help you put these strategies into action and take your business and your life to the next level. In the meantime, like and subscribe so that you're the first to get our next episode. We'll see you soon.